Yeah. So the agenda goes like, let's start with a little bit of introduction about MCP. Then, uh, whom are we actually building MCP for? Who is the actual target audience? What are the kind of solutions being developed in this space? And why should even we care about MCP? The next thing that I want to discuss is problems and some solutions. So, these are some challenges that currently developers are facing with respect to the space in MCP and the kind of solutions that they are trying to carry out, and the kind of integrations that are being made with MCP is something to be discussed, and we can have like more conversations about it, and more applications could be developed on top of MCP, and that's the use case that I want to discuss openly with this audience. At last, I have some resources for you. These are like highly technical resources also, and some very basic resources which will like help you to get into the space of MCP, and a small demo that I created which will help you to understand the client server interaction, and how can you develop your own MCP, and why should you even care about developing a small POC. So let me start with the introduction of MCP. MCP is basically Model Context Protocol. And I would like to start with a question. How many of you know or have already used MCP in their workspace, or maybe just personally? Just raise of hands. Okay, I can see maybe 10%. Okay. How many of you don't know anything about MCP? Okay, okay. Uh, so MCP is basically a USB, I think just a plug and play way of integrating any of the applications that you use daily into your LLM. So you must be using ChatGPT, Claude a lot every day, but you might be asking this question to yourself: is ChatGPT, does Claude have all the context and information, maybe about your Slack messages, maybe about your Gmail threads, maybe about your calendar, or maybe about your Notes app? And the answer would be no. A chat GPT or Claude will only have limited context about whatever data has been fed into it. So that's where MCP comes into place. Uh, Different organizations create their own MCP servers, which you can directly integrate into favorite your favorite LLM. That could be ChatGPT, Claude, Cursor, VS Code, uh, and a lot of different MCP clients which are up and coming. So what this helps is that how this helps is basically, for example, Google Calendar has released a MCP for you. You can just quickly install it in your LLM, and then you would be able to access all the meetings that you might have in future, that you have today, that you have had in past, and then you can start conversationally interacting with them. Now, this use case is powerful enough to make you understand how you can leverage the knowledge part of it. And the other part is how can you take actions on it, right? One part is that you got a blob of all the information for an application that you use. But then you would also want to do some actions in these applications, right? With the help of AI. And that's where also MCP comes in, where you can also give direct access to all the public or beta APIs that you have for a specific application, and then it can quickly give you access to make those actions. So a very simple example would be that I personally use is that I wanted to like start posting on Twitter, and I like to post more about all the recent things which are happening in AI. But as you know, the landscape is changing every week, every day. So I just created a very small application. It just runs a cron every week. It gives me all the information, and it gives me a very short tweet that I should talk about. And then obviously I change it to an opinion that I want to form. And then with the help of MCP, the send post method for tweet, I can just say that, hey, post this on my Twitter. And then all this process could be directly automated. Uh, and that's how you can like start integrating MCP into your applications. This is just like a very small use case, but there are some other enterprise use cases which are more stronger. So how do I see the usage of MCP? So I feel that MCP was started. So first of all, MCP is an project. developed and undertaken by Claude. It started with Claude, and then they created the very famous website called as Model Context Protocol, where you'll get like everything, every last bit about MCP. And I feel that MCP was started looking at adoption with developers, how they can start integrating these all different applications into LLM. But now I feel that a lot of use case is shifting towards the business side of things. And in that direction, not a lot of application or a lot of development has been done. Why so? Because I think primarily only developers have the accessibility of integrating an MCP, playing around it, or even understanding like how to interact with all these tools. So primarily, there are two different audiences here: developers, folks creating solutions and using MCP with the pre-existing tooling, could be Cursor, could be VS Code or their favorite IDE. And then basically, it started with like integrating all the context back into your code. So uh, if you're developing an application, you would want to have all the context about what kind of software you're building, and all of that context is very easily uh, you can easily integrate with the help of MCP, and that's how it started slowly. But now, on the user side of things, where CIOs, CSMs, support, and other folks can have actually a better use case around MCP and then can start interacting with this. How so? So for CSMs, for support folks, what is important is that to understand the information. CSMs are basically customer support managers, and support is basically the team which takes care of all the tickets which come, could be technical, could be non-technical. And uh, so a lot of times support folks have to like go and talk to engineers, go and talk to product about a specific bug or an issue. But how MCP is solving this problem is by directly allowing people to interact with the existing code base, to interact with the existing product modules which are available. And that's how they can gain all this information directly. And this information is not available directly through ChatGPT or Claude. Why? Because first of all, it's either proprietary information, or either it is stored somewhere where only maybe like PDFs are available, or where uh, you have to manually go and check all this information, right? But this is like really possible. All of this is actually possible by MCP. Some of the business use cases that have been recently popping up, and a lot of folks have been creating applications around it, is content creation. A lot of people have started creating these applications which directly integrate Instagram, LinkedIn, and all the other platforms into one application, where you can like start integrating your content calendars and then manage all of it. Business intelligence is one of the biggest platforms where this has been happening, and the answer is that our data is growing every day, and we are not able to talk to it. We are not able to get insights through it. The We are talking to a lot of different things, but like we are not getting the right information because we are not talking to our data. And that's where a new horizon of AI comes into place, which is called conversational AI. And MCP in itself is one of the biggest pillar which is solving this information, because it can bring information from any data source that you would want to have. uh, Again, the next point is conversation AI, which is basically you're talking to your LLM every day. You might be getting new ideas. You would want to implement new things with your LLM. Your chat GPT is giving you new ideas. It is helping you with your work. But at the end of the day, it does not have any context about you or your work. You might have to, every time you open a new chat GPT window, you might have to refresh the context, add more context, right? Uh, but there are better ways through which this could be done, and that's what I'll also showcase you later. Uh, the other part of it where people got really excited about uh, the AI hype train was agents. Agents are basically LLM with skills, knowledge, and uh, and and very specific niche to do something, right? Agents, by the way, for every company that you're seeing right now marketing that, hey, we are an agents first company, at in the back end they just are running like one of the LLMs, plus they are adding skills to it, or some actions to it, some tools to it, right? And that's how they can call them the small thing, that window with which you interact an agent. So skills or actions that can be taken uh, actually make agent an agent. And the other part of it is the knowledge that agent has been provided with. The knowledge could be basically maybe like a role play prompt that has been written that, hey, you are a CSM executives, CSM executive, and you're always going to give an answer according to how a CSM does, like 4 to 5 values of a CSM, or maybe it could be in a support role, or it could be an agent created just for developer specific answers. And that's how you can differentiate between an agent and uh, a simple ChatGPT or Claude example. But yeah, MCP is basically helping you to add tools to your existing LLM. And that's how you can create your agent quickly. So these tools are basically, again, the same thing, which help you to take either an action, or either it helps you to gain knowledge from that source. The other part where I think most of us come in is the application level of development. Uh, if you have been providing a way for people to interact with different LLMs, and now you suddenly want that they can also access different sources outside, uh, MCP is the right protocol that you can start integrating today. And even in MCP, it's not just that there is one way to do it. There are multiple ways to do it, which I'll go a bit deeper at the end. Uh, and the other part of is, which I advocate a lot about, is freedom to create your own OSS projects. Uh, so this is like a very big opportunity for every developer right now sitting here who wants to get into open source development. And why so? Uh, so right now you might be seeing a lot of different API specs available for different organizations. Could be Slack has its own API spec available. Uh, Gmail has its own API spec available. Google Drive has its own. Maps has its own. And there has been no development on creating MCP servers for all of this. You might see one or two local servers made for this, but there has not been a lot of significant development on all these open APIs which are available for uh, different software which daily people use, right? And that's where you can just quickly go and create your own MCP server uh, for that particular software. To give a very simple example, at a company we use Articulate. Articulate is basically a course management system which helps us to give courses to either our customers or internal employees or someone maybe from our community also. So I wanted to have a detailed dashboarding tool which gives me reports maybe like uh, every week or every day or every month. So I quickly just went and created the MCP server for Articulate. There was none available from their side, so I just created by myself. And what it just took is that API spec, which is already publicly available for most of the softwares out there, and you can start integrating and creating it. And like you don't even have to take care of the business logic there, because the API itself is taking care of the business logic there. Uh, so yeah, that's on the application level and on the OSS level, that how you can start interacting with MCP and how you as an individual developer can start creating many projects. I'll also showcase you some of the links where you can like directly contribute and showcase your servers uh, and maybe like gain some highlight on them. Okay, so I think this is like the most important topic that I wanted to cover. Why is MCP uh, and like why are people even caring about MCP at this point? So uh, just a second. Yeah. So let's focus at this timeline. Uh, and this is an opinionated timeline. People can differ. People can have different opinions about it. This is my pure opinion. So I started out as a backend developer with Node.js, React, and Vue, and all of the famous JavaScript stuff that all of us have been doing. I think the hype started around like 2016, late 2016s, 2017s. And then like it grew with more and more frameworks coming in, showing what are the different features which have uh, Svelte came in, Next.js came in, and still the ecosystem is growing. But that was the JS frameworks hype train, which where like every other week or at least every other month you used to see one big JavaScript framework that everyone used to start working with or used to share opinions about. Then came the AI boom with ChatGPT. I think it came around 2019, late 2019, 2020s, where like people started with, I think the ChatGPT 3 third version of it. Before that, also they had two different versions. I don't think so. A lot of people use that, but they started with the GPT 3, and then people started using it instead of maybe Google or other search engines that they used to use. And post that, uh, the Gen AI applications, I think, hype came in, where you would have seen a lot of different companies creating Gen AI applications. Everywhere there would be Gen AI talks. People would be talking about generating text, generating videos, generating photos, and I think the hype is still going on. But a lot of different applications started growing in this direction. So people saw this as a problem, as an opportunity, and they started growing around this ecosystem. Uh, but what I feel is that at this point, everyone started saying that AI has really plateaued. There is no real application out of AI at this point, right? Like, what else you can do? Like, what else creative can you do out of this? Like, at the end of the day, you're just going to ChatGPT or Claude and just talking to your LLM about something, maybe brainstorming about an idea, copy pasting things in email, giving more formal replies to your bosses. But like, what were some really enterprise use cases which are there out of AI, right? So after this point, I feel I've just missed one thing, that is agents, which came in. I think Google was the first one to release its A2A framework, and then before that, a lot of different open source softwares were also there. But like uh, Google actually released how you can start creating your agents, gave a good definition to agents. Claude also started giving definition to what is a tool called. Uh, and that's how people started realizing, oh, okay, we can also actually go out of our LLMs and do things. uh, so I think this phase which we are in, I think it started around 2025. People started working around MCP. They understood what is the real power of MCP. A lot of development started in this direction. And uh, I feel we are moving out of the plateau. That's why I've ended the plateau there. Uh, and now we are going into a direction where we can actually start solving some enterprise use cases, right? Uh, and that's where 2024 to 2025, I feel that is going to be a lot there's going to be a lot of development in this space, where a lot of companies are going to actually roll out their MCP servers. uh, and I'll, and there's an actual statistics that companies have started taking MCP servers as their like prioritize in their sprints. Even our company started prioritizing having an MCP server, even though like our company is like a direct competition to what MCP is doing. We have a different way of doing it. But yeah, different companies have like started solving this problem of giving their users the access to interact with their data in their favorite LLM. That is the power that MCP carries. So today, if you are a power user of Notion or you are a power user of Slack, but maybe you just want all of it in one Claude interface, you just want to interact with all of it in just one interface, today that is possible. And that is possible because companies are giving you that authority. Let's even These are just like normal softwares that you use day to day life. Even Zerodha released its own MCP server for Kite. So now you can quickly take a look at your daily transactions, quickly take a look at what are the different IPOs coming, quickly take a look at all the different public APIs that they have provided, and then you can connect to it directly in your cloud. uh, I think this is also, just give me 1 second. Yeah, I think this is also a direction of they're looking to get into AI race with practical and easy applications like MCP. Why so? Because every other company wants to be AI native at this point. And the easiest way for them to introduce AI to their customers is by at least giving their customers the way to interact with all the APIs through their favorite LLM. So that's how I feel a lot of companies are thinking in this direction, and how people can actually start interacting with this data. Again, there's a huge rise of MCP servers right now with different companies developing this. Uh, Companies are actually uh, very opinionated on like should they give like a local server to people, should they give like a remote server to people, which I'll delve deeper into. But like that's like a bigger problem right now that people are trying to solve. Which kind of server should they start using? Okay, so let's take a pause. Let's take maybe some questions about MCP because I think I'm going a bit fast. Yeah. Is it the only way to add tooling? No, no, you can add it to anything. Like, yeah, it's not restricted to anything as such. So I have connected MCP to my Olama server, which I run locally. So literally any frontier models, any fine-tuned models that you also have, you can also start having it. And I think fine-tuned models are a different race because fine-tuned is where like you start uh, training your data on a specific purpose, excuse me, and then like that starts giving you answers according to that. So I think that's not directly something that you should use with MCP because it has a very different use case. But with respect to the frontier models and all the open source models which are available, I feel they are starting to think more about the integrations. Yeah, exactly. To automate the task, to do a task on that specific software, to read about all of the things that you are doing on that software, all of it. Any other questions? Anything about MCP? Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. I actually wanted someone to ask that question. So I thought like this is so because I'm at React Bangalore speaking, I thought there will be majorly React folks wanted to know more about how can we start using it with React. Uh, Through my research, I found that there are a lot of direct MCP client modules that you can use. But the very interesting stuff that I have found, which I also did like a short demo on. I'll actually showcase a demo at the end, which covers this. Have you folks used ShadCN? ShadCN, yes. So ShadCN has a MCP server which you can directly integrate into your Next.js app or manual or maybe a React app wherever. And if you're in Cursor or if you're in VS Code, you can just quickly type if you have added the ShadCN API, ShadCN MCP server, you can just type in uh, the chat bar that hey, please add uh, please add a ShadCN button, and even in that it has different themes that you can add. So all of it is now it can be programmatically added into your Next.js project. I have a small demo at the end which where I'll showcase this. Okay, let's talk about some challenges which I think enterprises are facing right now, and where developers like us can like start contributing and start giving some sort of solutions to this, right? So biggest problem which I have seen in this space is adoption and education. Accessibility is limited to developers because the story of MCP has not been very easy for non-tech folks. What do I mean by that is that uh, okay, I'll run a bit fast because I have to showcase the last demo also. But Basically, the adoption and education for MCP has been very limited, just to developers, because it's only to developers they could understand how to integrate these MCP servers into Claude or VS Code or even their favorite IDE. Uh, but obviously, we should find a solution for that. Making applications that make it easier for non-tech folks to realize the power of MCP and how they can start interacting and talking to different data points. This is where I think the real power can be unlocked, because as developers, we just see it as uh, in a tunnel. We have tunnel vision while we are developing something. That hey, my main use case is that how can I interact with all the data points about my product or about my code base. But maybe once we start solving these problems, where our CSM teams, our product teams, our support teams can start understanding what are we doing at the product front, they can like quickly just query, hey, what is the next enhancement, sorry, so what is the next feature that is going to be released? Or maybe they can just start inquiring about, hey, we have this X feature in our company, how does this even work? Does it even have like common bugs right now? All of this information, when that gets tapped, I think that's where the real potential of MCP can be unlocked. And yeah, I think that's where people other than tech people can start actually using this uh, MCP in the real way, and that's where I think the real solutions lie. So yeah. Okay, I also have a very small demo of computer, but maybe I'll showcase you later. Okay, so what can we do as developers? I will give you some resources that will really help you to start your journey with MCP. First of all, if you want to learn anything and everything about MCP with from a perspective, there's a really good article written on Simple Scraper blog for how to MCP. It has like everything from understanding to local MCP to understanding remote MCP. What are the different things in both of them? Uh, so I'll just move on to the point where it helps you to understand this. It's too technical. Uh, oh, yeah. So basically, this is called as the remote MCP setup. You have two different types of remote MCP setup. When I say remote MCP, is it's basically running somewhere in the cloud, and local MCP is basically running in your own laptop. So either you can run MCP servers in your laptop, or either you can run MCP servers in the cloud. Uh, when you see a lot of servers, when you see when someone says remote MCP, it's basically a server given mostly by the company, by the software itself, that hey, you can use this official MCP server that we have signed off, and then you just have to quickly connect to it. The other ones, which are local MCPs, those are basically made by individual developers who want to start interacting with these APIs or these softwares that they want to. With remote MCP, you have two different types of, again, one is the streamable HTTP, which is the newest version of how you interact with remote MCP servers, and the other one is HTTP plus SSE. Uh, with streamable HTTP, you have one connection directly which does everything for you. It is just one client call from to the server, which like helps you to start interacting with your MCP server. With HTTP SSE, you have two different ways to interact. One is for sending messages, one is to get more information about the MCP, and so on and so forth. You can dive a bit more deeper into this, but I would not suggest going directly into remote MCP. Start with a local MCP. It's very easy to do, and the best way, I think, the best way to start developing local MCP is fast MCP. If folks have heard about it, that's a really good SDK if you want to start developing your own small SDK, a small version of any MCP server for any software that you would want to. Um, Post that, I will like to share you. Uh, One second. Also, there is like a GitHub's portal where you can connect to all the official remote MCPs. Uh, this is just one portal. There are others also. There's a very famous website called as Smithery. Smithery has mostly all the MCP available at this point. When any company or any individual developer starts to developing this and they want to showcase it to uh, like a wider audience, Smithery can really help you to share your MCP server. And then uh, where is it? One second. Yeah. So there is also one more GitHub link, which is basically maintained and proctored by the official uh, folks at Model Context Protocol. Uh, this is where you can like see all the different servers which are available. Uh, so as you can see, you'll have something for Google also. Someone might have contributed. So you have something for Google Drive, Google Maps. Uh, you you also have something for DevRev. Actually, we recently contributed here too. Rev. Uh, you have for GitHub also available. So if you just want to quickly take a look at all the issues, all the discussions on your favorite repository, that is also possible. Uh, so basically, just take a tool that you use daily. Think if just search for it if the MCP is available. If not, maybe just make it. It won't take you more than like 3 to 4 hours if you already know the concepts of MCP. It's not very difficult to develop. You don't have to like write your own logic to it, any business logic to it. You just have to surface all the APIs which are available into your code base. The best way to do it, the easiest way and the most documentation available is through FastMCP SDK. Uh, and yeah, let me just share you one very small, yeah, I hope this works. Okay. So basically, what I've done is that I use Olama a lot. Olama is a client, a desktop client, which helps you to use all the open source versions, open source LLMs. So maybe Llama 3.0, Llama 2.0, Quen 2.5, all of these open source models which are available. How to use them? You can just quickly download it through Olama and then start interacting with them. Uh, so Olama is just a client. What I wanted to do is that I wanted to connect all my Olama models and then use it with any MCP server that I want to. So I created a very small CLI application which helps me to connect to my favorite MCP servers. So npm run dev. I hope it's visible at the last. Okay. So here we have options to start a chat, manage MCP servers. So you can have list of whatever servers can be configured. Right now, I just have DevRevs MCP configured. Then you can also add, disable, remove servers, test connection. The most important part when you are developing an MCP is testing the connection, because then only you'll understand if it's working or not. And the other part is like actually listing all the tools which are available. So when I list all the tools which are available for DevRev, quickly give me, just give me first test the connection. Okay. And yeah. So these are all the different tools which are available. So if I want to create a new issue in DevRev, create a ticket in DevRev, get issues in DevRev, or maybe like get self. Get self is basically, I think you would use the most. Get self gives context to the MCP who you are. So who you are is basically it. So if I run this thing, it will say that Nimit Savant, developer evangelist at DevRev, and then like different things that I work upon. Nimit Savant works upon. Uh, Nimit Savant works in the vertical called as DevRev. He does XYZ things. Uh, Let me just go back and write a query for that. So you can start a chat session. Hey, who am I? So let's just take a look at this. It called the get self tool from the devrev MCP. This was the JSON response, which is not important, but like it gave a response. It has context about Nimit Savant, my email ID, all of those things. And then, yeah. So as you can see, Nimit Savant, devrev, the user status is active, da, 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 and more information about me. That's how like you can have more of this information intact in your LLM, so that when LLM is giving trying to give you an answer, it can give you an answer which is more proctored towards you. So that's how you can like use MCP servers. I have a small demo, one more demo for ShadCN that I wanted to share. ShadCN. Okay. As you can see, this is like a very simple project in Next.js. And I have already added the, let's go to tools and MCP. Let's just keep ShadCN here. Let's create a new window. And then you can just type in add, add a ShadCN button in MCP. So it actually did the call, get project registries. It basically is getting understanding of how is ShardCN configured, and then like it is making the call and it's successful. That's how. So this was the actual command which will like help you to add the ShardCN button. And then like maybe this one is easy, but like there would be more complicated use cases where you will have to add uh, configurations for ShardCN, and this MCP server itself will take care of it. You just can now conversationally talk to it and start adding all these things. Uh, so that's like a very small demo on uh, how even React developers can start interacting with MCP servers. And just not for ShardCN, there are MCP servers for other tools also available. Uh, Other libraries also available. I feel that for Framer there's also one. For Tailwind also there's one. Like if you quickly want to get some classes, right? For or maybe you already have some classes there and you want to optimize them. That is something also doable with the help of MCP, because all of these use cases have been taken care by this. So any questions at the end? I think any questions about the demo? Yeah, go on. Claude Code does the same thing. So Claude Code is again an LLM at the end of the day. It is what I feel is that Claude Code is a very fine-tuned LLM which like interacts with your terminal. Uh, and then it already has a context of maybe more code bases. But yes, it does the same thing. It can do the same thing, but Claude Code can also hallucinate. We have to take that into consideration. MCP cannot hallucinate. Why? Because it is taking data directly from the API. It's not taking data from maybe the internet or the web. It is taking data from a data source. That's the difference between like doing it through an LLM or doing it through MCP. So there's a level of trust here because it's coming from an API. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. This is on ShardCN's website. Agent can put, yes, I would definitely agree that agent can pull information directly from the documentation also. The only problem here is, what if documentation is deprecated? Who is moderating that documentation? At least when you're writing a tool, that tool is being moderated. That API call is always, the business logic is always set. Someone is already moderating that. We don't know if like when the website or when the documentation can go away. Also, there are multiple versions of documentation. Which documentation would you refer to? Right. Exactly. Yeah. This is not like written by some individual person. Like this is on ChatCN's official website. They recommend, if like are using it with Cursor or something, use our MCP server. It will give you the latest information about everything that we have to offer. Any other question? Yeah. Yeah. Got it. That's a really good question. So DevRev has context of me, and I'm using DevRev's MCP server. So DevRev already knows that who am I, and I'm using a PAT token for me. So PAT token is personal access token. GitHub also has its own PAT token. DevRev has its own PAT token. According to the PAT token, when I hit the server with saying get self, it says that it's Nimit Savant. It's very similar for user.me in GitHub's API. If you use GitHub's API, there's a API for understanding who is the user who is interacting. And when you enter your PAT and then you hit that API, you will get that it's Nimit Savant. The user ID of this user, GitHub user ID is Nimit2801. That's how it can give you back the results. Does that answer the question? Yeah, we can take this offline though. That's a really good question. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, okay. At the end, I will just like to share this one servers thing that you can take a look at. This is a very good place where you can start. Uh, Someone wants to. Oh, yeah. This has like everything you need to start interacting with your favorite tool, and it's fairly easy with Claude or any other solutions. At the end, just a quote: MCP is going to solve the next set of challenges by connecting data with actions. What I mean is that MCP gives you a data source, your favorite data source, and now you can start taking actions with this data. It could be either your own actions, like understanding, hey, okay, these are the activities that I'm doing, gaining insights from it, or the other action could be actually doing some action on the software, maybe sending a message, maybe sending an email directly from your LLM. All of these actions could now be possible because you have MCP in the place, and it's giving you raw data directly from the APIs that you're interacting with. With that, thank you so much.